So this is going to be a 6-week plan to basically reset your business, reset your mind, and reset your space. It's no secret that you can't like come off of the back of a really mad mental Christmas and come in and be like, right, okay, I'm going to rock it in 2022. Okay, you can't do that. You need to just do a bit of a wipe clean, make sure that your mindset is straight, your goals, what went well last year, what didn't go well last year. And if you guys don't know, I am currently in the process of writing a book, and this is something that really came up, especially when I was reaching out to previous students to ask them their feedback for the book. Okay, so I'm currently writing a book. It is absolutely insane. I cannot believe that this is like my life right now, because I'm not an author, but when I was asked to write a book, how can you turn that down, right? So the book will be coming early spring. Make sure that you do keep an eye out on Instagram, and you keep an eye out on Facebook as well. So when I was writing it, or rather when I was writing the previous chapter that I did do, it was one of those things where you start to look at the pros and cons and the common pitfalls that people do fall down into. And I feel like a lot of people, they will just coast through the beginning of the year based off of their, what happened for them during Christmas, right? So this is what really inspired us at Handmade Bosses to come up with this really awesome workshop. Okay, so we're going to enable you to just wipe that slate clean. So if you haven't already, like I said, do grab a pen, do grab a bit of old paper, even if it's like the back of an old envelope or something like that, because there will be questions that you will need to jot down to answer later, okay? And that will lead on to week 2. Week 2 will lead on to week 3. So you need to make sure to grab that pen. I'm going to catch up on comments. Been Creating just said, I just clicked on an old live on Facebook thinking it was today's live until you started talking about this is the last one before Christmas. It should have like a little red live box up in the top right hand corner. Eric said, I did burn out a bit, but starting to get back on track. First half of last year was 46,000 and second half was 129,000. That is crazy growth. So you basically grew your business to 6 figures, from like not 6 figures to 6 figures in like less than 6 months. That is insane, Eric. I'm so proud of you. You are like, yeah, it's just, honestly, we love reading your posts, so do keep on posting. Hi, Helen, how are you? Hi, Kaylee, welcome. So, Iwaladun, hello, the Cotswold Wax Co. Hi, got to go back to work. Will this be able to watch later? Yes, so it will be on the Instagram profile, and it will also be on the Facebook group. I think it's slightly easier to find it in the Facebook group, if I'm honest, so if you haven't already, join there. So, are you guys ready? You've got your pen, you've got your paper, are you all ready? So, this is going to be week 1 is very much going to be all about reflecting back on last year. Okay, so it's all going to be about reflecting back. So, we're going to be reflecting on what went wrong last year, what went right last year, your goals and all that good stuff. So it is going to be a real case of trying to, and like I say, even if you have to write these questions down and, take yourself off somewhere quiet later on and actually just sit and really, think back to the answers for these questions, right? It is going to be something that you might not be able to just answer straight away on the live. But if you can, I would love to hear it in the comments. So once you've kind of reflected on what went well and what didn't go well, because as we all know, you don't want to be making the same mistakes as you did in 2021. You want to actually learn and grow and get bigger as a business owner, right? You want to just make sure that you're learning from what didn't go wrong. From what didn't go right last year, okay? So here is some reflection questions. So this is kind of split into 3 categories, okay? So we've got reflection, we've got goals, and we've got planning, all right? So there's a lot of questions, so make sure to grab your pen. But okay, let me just grab up all the questions. So again, you might want to take yourself off to a quiet, cozy space. You might just want to, again, just write these down and answer them later, okay? So the first question, which I would love to hear from you guys, because when we own What went wrong? We actually give it less power. So the first question is, what went wrong in 2021 for you? Okay, and I know that you might be like, Steph, I really don't want to like focus on what went wrong, right? You want to focus on what went right, okay? So answer this question: what went wrong last year? All right, and I would love to hear about it in the comments. What went wrong? Helen says pen and paper ready. Good, good, good. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Sarah says, are these weekly at the same time, same day? Yes, they are. We do post a schedule in the Facebook group. We don't post it on Instagram because it's kind of hard to like link it back, but we do post a schedule in there, so you will see a post. It should be pinned to the very, very top. You say you get confused between the student ones and the normal ones. Yeah, so basically if you're in the Handmade Bosses Success Academy, I do a group coaching call once a month in there. So that is different from these. These are just weekly kind of workshops that we do. So what went wrong last year? Let me know what went wrong. I think for me, one of the biggest things that went wrong would be that I tried to take on too much too soon. Like, it was just, I wanted to do all the things. Let me know if you guys can relate to that. You kind of get to the point where you have so many ideas, you're feeling so creative. And I mean, let me know if you guys can relate to this, but when you're riding the wave of motivation, it feels like you're just going up and up and up and up. And then you reach this kind of like pivot point where if you don't slow down and you don't stop spreading yourself so thin, you're going to do this, right? And I feel like a lot of people last year did do this. You know, we came off of the back of, you know, lockdowns and shutdowns and people having to shop online. We had so many ideas, all the good things, and then we burnt out. We gradually were just like, and you know, honestly, it's a messy, messy thing. Precious Time Prince says, for me, it was a postage for American customers, which meant it arrived late and they now leave in 1-star feedback. Okay, so that is something for you to learn next year. Maybe you know, for me, my last posting date to the States is like the very end of November, because again, I learned that lesson the hard way, right? Wisteria Wish Dolls, I love that name. I didn't make themed products early enough, so didn't have as many products as I wanted, and advertising was too late. Okay. Smithbrook Kiln says Facebook ads didn't work. Okay. For Your Spirit says yes to many projects, so chaotic. Yes. Helen says, oh yes, wanting to do so much. Right? Yeah, you get to the point where, and you know, let's be honest, there are loads of things that you guys could be doing, and we do talk about this in like one-to-ones and all that good stuff, where we're coming up with all these ideas. But the problem is that if you're just doing them all, you just end up doing nothing, right? And you spread yourself far too thin, you know. And and this is definitely something where, you know, if you're looking at your to-do list and you're like, nope, and you just put it away and you go and procrastitidy or procrastibrand or something like that instead, then that, my friend, means you are overwhelmed, which just, it spells trouble, right? Eric, what went wrong in 2021? Ran out of inventory and burned myself out at the end. Yes, so it's, again, to you, it's like, okay, Eric, how can you schedule your year out? And this is actually something that we have done this year for Handmade Bosses, that we have literally scheduled our entire year. I mean, I've printed out one of these and I've literally scheduled out our entire year so we know what we're doing and when. It doesn't have to be set in stone. You can buy rub out pens, guys. Like, honestly, don't worry about it being like a set in stone thing. But essentially what you're doing is you're just giving yourself a rough idea of what projects are going to move the business needle the most for you, okay? Because again, like, we can get really, really into it where, you know, we're like, oh, I'm going to change the font on my website, or I am going to open up a Shopify website rather than a Wix one, or I'm going to redo my logo, or I am going to change descriptions, or I'm going to play around with tags, or I'm going to do the, you know, you've really got to ask yourself, are any of these things really moving the needle in your business? All right. And that is definitely something that we have done. we've made that mistake before. And this year in Handmade Bosses, we're like, nope, we're not deviating. This is what we're doing. These are the projects that we're doing. This is when we're doing them, and that's it. And it's also really, really nice to not have to sit and plan out your entire year and week as it goes, right? Marta says being disorganized and poor time management. Okay, so maybe you're like, right, this year I'm going to buy a diary. I'm going to organize myself. Sarah, for me, I had too many different ideas for different products and couldn't decide which to go with and ended up starting and not finishing too many. Yeah, so you kind of like spread yourself too thin, right? Not committing, then spending weeks with me and the kids really ill and ended up not finishing many. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But again, it's like, you're spreading yourself out way too thin, right? So write down what went wrong last year. It could be a list of 1, 2, 3, 20, whatever it is. Anything that comes to mind that makes you go, I am not doing that again. Write it down, okay? The next question is what went right last year? So that is something that I would love to hear from you guys. So we're reflecting what went wrong, what went right in 2021. So let me know, what did you guys do right? What kind of habits or other things are you going to be bringing into 2022? Let me know. For us, I think the biggest habit is having weekly meetings. And that is actually something that, it's really, really helped us to make sure that we are being, that we're like just communicating really, really well. And we know who's doing what and when and where we're going. Because, some days you can be really, really motivated. You can be on it and you can feel like you're killing it. And then like the next week you might be a little bit ill, or you might be not quite feeling it, not quite feeling yourself. And then again, you fall off the bandwagon, right? So what went right in 2021? Let me know in the comments. I would love to find out. Let me have a little sip of water. Helen says, what went right? Beginning to get more organized. Yes. So is that a habit that you're going to be taking into 2022? Write it down. And what you can even do is you could also do like a list, bish, bash, bosh, of what went right, and then put like a big star next to the ones that you're like 100% taking into 2022. And the reason why we actually started doing this business reset on the 10th of January is because, let's be honest, how many of you guys were like doing really well with your New Year's resolutions the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of January, but by like the 6th and the 7th, you were like, yeah, I'm doing it, kind of. That's why we're doing it on the 10th, because, the first 10 days is when you've probably, going to be honest, already tried and failed at some of your New Year's resolutions. And by the 10th, you're like, right, okay, I'm ready to like actually get back into it and start inputting these daily habits that's going to get me to where I need to go, right? Let me know if that's any of you. And be honest, that's me. My healthy eating went out the window on the 2nd. So yeah, I completely feel you guys there. Eric says, what went right? I started building up Christmas inventory, what seemed like way too early, but ended up being really good. Yes. Debuted 2 new bestseller products. Amazing. Hi, my little cupcake topper shop. Sometimes Instagram names can be really, really long. Marta, very good feedback from customers. High response rate for all my small numbers. Amazing. So keep that up. Keep that up. So let's go through the rest of the questions. So, and feel free to let me know the answer to any of these questions. I would love to hear from you. So the first question, again, if you missed it, was what went wrong last year? What went right last year? How did you achieve your goals last year? So this is kind of like linking the two. So how did you achieve your goals last year? The next question, how did you feel about yourself as a person last year? Yes. We're getting deep, okay? So how did you feel about yourself as a person? Did you feel happy in yourself? Were you like not feeling stressed, or were you feeling very, very stressed? Really just be honest with yourself, okay? Were there any moments where you felt really, really happy? Now, a really good hint for this is to go back on your time hop timeline memories on Facebook. That's a really good thing to do. Go back on your personal Instagram. Look at what you did last year and kind of get clues as to what made you really, really happy. Was it walks in nature? Was it yoga? Was it spa days? Whatever it is, you can look back on and say, you know what, I really enjoyed that. I'm going to dedicate myself to more joy in 2022, and I'm going to do that thing again, right? And were there any moments where you felt really, really sad? So was there anything that you did that you were like, oh, I didn't really like that all that much. I'm not going to be doing that again. Write that down. What did you learn from the happy moments, and what did you learn from the sad moments? And if you miss a question, don't worry, I am going to be going through and doing a recap. But what did you learn from the happy moments, and what did you learn from the sad moments? I think for me, one of the biggest like sad moments that really kind of kicks into high gear when I think about what I'm not bringing into my 2022 was, this is going to be a hard one, but was letting people go that, like friendship wise, that have to be let go, that are just holding me back, right? And I think we all know the kind of people, I'm sure that every single one of us watching has that one person in our life that is just, every time we speak to them, every time we see them, we feel like we're being held back. We have this unknowing sense of dread when we're going to see them. We don't quite know why. We feel uncomfortable. We almost like sometimes feel nervous and we don't quite know why. That to me is my gut kind of saying, something isn't quite sitting well with me. And that was definitely something for me that I'm not bringing into 2022. If my gut instinct is saying, Steph, run, I'm gonna run, right? I'm gonna let that person go, or I'm gonna like start to really restrict my time spent with that person, because as we all know, as a business owner, this is the most important thing, right? Investing in our mindset, investing in ourselves, and making sure we keep our mindset clean is just the biggest thing that we have to do, right? Wisteria Wishdolls said, what went well? Took notes of peaks and slumps in sales and identified when my quieter periods are. That's a really good idea. So make sure that you know when your peaks and troughs are, because you are gonna get peaks and troughs, right? Let me just, oh guys, you are commenting so much. Vixnit said, yes, some friends are not supportive. They see what you do as a hobby, or they are just an energy drain. Exactly, right? Exactly. Helen said, how did I feel? Loved being creative again. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, every single person watching this, we are creative people. Make sure to make space to create just for the heck of it, right? Because sometimes we're like, I'm going to create. And if you've been watching my Instagram stories, you know that I am into bear making at the moment and into doing some sewing. But it's always been a thing for me where I'm wanting to monetize everything because of what I do. I'm a handmade business coach through and through. It's like sometimes, and I'm getting hearts on Instagram, so I know that you guys, I know this hits different for you, but you are allowed and you do have permission to have a hobby that you do not have to monetize. Can we just like write that on our hand, get a pen, write that on our hand, write it on our forehead if we have to. You do not have to monetize all of your hobbies, okay? Eric said a bit stressed at times, but overall just really satisfied at the progress last year. Hitting 6 figures was a really good proof that my business is working. That is amazing, Eric. I love that. Big thumbs up. Helen says, sad times became a blessing in disguise. Awesome. Injured my knee, meaning I've had to give up my day job, but has now meant I can concentrate more on my craft business that I want to progress into the full-time day job. Amazing. So you had a bad thing, you swapped it into a positive. That's a really great mindset to have, Helen. Well done, you. So what did you learn from feeling sad? Sorry, what did you learn from the sad moments? What did you learn from the happy moments? So that's where we've gotten up to. The next question is, how can you incorporate more of those happy moments into 2022? Big loaded question. How can you incorporate more of those happy moments into 2022? Is there anything that you did last year that you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to take that into 2022? All right. Is there anything that you did last year that you're thinking, I need to do more of that because I really enjoyed myself, right? And the second question, but not the second question, but the second part to this is, how can you make sure that more of those sad moments don't creep into 2022? So again, let's say that you feel sad when you go and see that one friend who you're thinking, I'm just not feeling that they have my back. I'm not feeling that they're being supportive enough for me, right? How can you make sure that you're not going to bring that feeling into 2022? Because, you know, guys, we are all in charge of our emotions and how we think and how we feel and our own happiness, okay? So how are we going to take as much control over that as we possibly can, okay? And the last question in the reflect bit, right, is if you could describe last year in 3 words, what would they be? Oh, I'd love to hear your answers to this. I really, really would. So if you could describe your 2021 in 3 words, what would they be? Okay, I think mine would be growth, chaotic, overwhelmed. I think that would be my 3 words. I know 2 of them are quite like negative words, but that is honestly, I felt like my whole 2021 was just in a tizzy, in a right spin. Wisteria Wishdale says, not taking into 2022, comparing myself against others really got me down at times. Yes, exactly. So you're saying, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. I am not comparing my business to other businesses on Etsy. That is a waste of my energy and time. I'm going to do something else instead. I'm going to put my energy into actually working on my business rather than being like, you know what, I'm just not doing that, right? Sophie says, big learning experience. You know it. You absolutely know it. So, describe 2021 for you guys in business in 3 words. What would they be? That's a challenge for you. What would they be? Marta says, adventure, discovery, empathy. Oh, I like that. I like that. That is amazing. Eric said, satisfied, father, tired. Father and tired. Love that. That is amazing. That is awesome. I love that. Helen says, a flying pancake. That's not a bad. Why a pancake? I'm intrigued. Your Spirit says, yet another reboot. Too many reboots for my different projects. This year is going to be the year. I 100% believe that. Can we just all give Your Spirit like some, like, what's the word? Like, let's send them good thoughts and just say, you know what, 2022 is going to be all of our year, right? Because we're doing this work up front, okay? So, just to recap, reflecting, what went wrong last year? What went right last year? Did you achieve your goals in 2021? How did you feel about yourself as a person last year? Were there any moments where you felt really happy, where you felt really sad? What did you learn from the happy moments and the sad moments? How can you incorporate more of those happy moments into 2022 and the same with the sad moments? And if you could describe last year in 3 words, what would they be? So that is all part of the reflection, okay? And do not skip this, guys, because you know, you're not going to be able to set really good goals without doing this, okay? I actually wrote I think it was about a 5 double-sided page of A4 of just notes, right? Of just everything that went right and what went wrong. And even if you think you don't really know, honestly, you do. Just write anything down, right? Okay. So, Your Spirit says, thanks, yes, we can all do it. Exactly, we completely, honestly can. Sophie says, I'm loving the positivity on this live today. I know, me too. I love this. I love this. This is so amazing. Helen says, completely has no idea what's happening when it's being flipped. Yeah, sure. So, goals. The next section to this is goals. Okay, so again, this is going to be an exciting portion, okay? Because now, rather than looking back, we're looking forward, okay? So, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? Ooh, that's a loaded question. I completely understand if you don't want to pop this in the comments. Maybe even just like try to sum it up in a sentence. Like, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years' time? What do you want your business to look like in 5 years' time, right? Think of everything from like what car you drive, what you look like, where you live, what clothes do you wear, where do you go on vacation? You know, our lives. I mean, if you think back to where you were 5 years ago, you'd be like, wow, this is like a completely different person. So it just goes to show how different different you and your life can look like within 5 years, right? So where do you want your life to be in 5 years time? And Helen says, oh, that question I used to hate at interviews. Yes. Luckily though, this is you don't have to say your answer to impress anybody. This is just for you, right? G Havana, I think that's how you say your name. Financially independent, living in the country and just creating. Amazing. That is awesome. I love that. The Orchid Craft Room says, I'm struggling so hard to get motivated this year. I have so many ideas and things I need and want to do, but I just can't take the first step. Well, you are in the right place then, because we are going to be resetting. We're going to be wiping that slate clean. If you want to go back and watch the replay, you absolutely can. So, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? And think of everything. Think of even like, what does your driveway look like? What does your garden look like? When you get up in the morning, what do you do? Where do you go? Are you getting in your car and going to a job? Are you walking to a job? Are you working on your business? Which I'm sure a lot of you are going to be like, yes, please. You're not going to a day job. You are actually working within your handmade business. Write that down. Don't just assume that you're going to remember this, In the Handmade Bosses Success Academy, a student actually wrote down her 1-year goal, right? And it was amazing because 6 months later, she found that little scrap of paper and she ticked off everything on that list. So I would really implore you to just write it down and put it somewhere. Even if you're going to date it for 6 months ahead or even a year ahead. It's kind of like a really cool time capsule, right? Oh, hi Tamsin. Sorry, I completely blanked then. Hello Tamsin, hello. Well, you're in the right place then. You are in the right place. Sarah says, no more day job. That's a dream. My current one is super toxic. Oh, I feel you there. In the book that I'm writing, and if you've just joined us, I am currently writing a book. I went deep. I went deep into my background and my job. And if you read that, yes, I completely feel you there. But you say, I'm using everything that happens as a boost to work to get out. The second I earn the same in your business, I'm out the door. Amazing. So that is your goal. You're 5 years time, I'm not going to be at that job. That is amazing. That's awesome. Helen says 5 years time, full-time craft business with unit. Oh, own website, financially comfortable. Hopefully my partner will have put a ring on it too. Amazing. That is awesome. I love that. So clear cut. Amazing. Sarah says working from home for me, doing what I enjoy and being free to be more involved with kids' school stuff, etc., without having to lose money to take time for it all. So it's almost kind of stop exchanging hours in the day for money, because that is something that a lot of people if I could summarize the biggest thing that people write down on their goal when they join HBSA, it's stop exchanging time for money. That is the top thing, right? Hi Joe, how are you doing? Happy New Year. Set an alarm after reading the email. Remind I'm still half an hour late. Don't worry Joe, as you know, you can go back and watch it on the replay, not a problem. Marta, having a family and reduce my full-time hours, don't tell my employer. Don't worry, I don't even know where you work, so that's fine. Miriam says, just join this. I've been with Etsy for a long time and never been successful. I don't understand how it works. Well, today we are doing a Handmade Bosses business reset. So we're wiping the slate clean from last year. But Miriam, you are literally in the perfect place because I have so many videos and freebies for you that you are 100% in the right place. Tamsin says, I want to book some one-to-one training with you, Steph. Fabulous. If you go on the website, the questionnaire, the assessment, the form is what I should say. The form is on the website. So if you want to fill that in, then be my guest. It is on the website. Sarah says, totally makes sense. It's freedom. Exactly. It is complete freedom, right? So let's quickly run through the goal questions. Okay. So what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? That's the first question. What top 5 things would make the biggest impact on your life this year? So 2022, what top 5 things would make the biggest impact? And it could be anything from, and you don't have to judge, your own answers. It could be buying a new car, getting a new heat press, buying a bigger printer, moving office space, going full-time in your business. It can be anything big or small. But what I'm asking is, what would be what would make the biggest impact in your life this year? It doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be any of those things. What would make the biggest impact, right? How are you going to get there? How are you going to achieve those 5 things? And what do you want from your life this year? So a pretty loaded question there, but basically we're just digging deep into, right, what do you want? Like, you can have anything. Everything is on the menu when it comes to writing goals for 2022. There is nothing on the menu. Your waiter for life is not going to come to you and say, sorry guys, we haven't got this, we haven't got that. Everything is on the menu, so write it down, right? So how are you going to get there? How are you going to achieve those 5 things? And what do you want from your life this year? Do these goals make you feel happy and excited? And if so, why? Write it down. Why does it make you feel excited to potentially leave your day job? Is it so you don't have to put up with your annoying boss anymore? Is it the commute, the early morning commute where you've barely woken up and you're having to drive like an hour to get to your job? Really, really write it down, okay? Looking at your goals for this year, so this is the last question in the goal bit. Looking at your goals for this year, so once you've answered all of those questions, and don't worry, I will run through them again, what 3 words would you use to describe the coming year? So it's like a really interesting comparison, all right? So, Joe says, one-to-one is definitely worth it. Tempted to book in another one later in the year. Yeah, by all means, we are booked up until mid-March, so we have got a bit of a backlog because I don't take on a lot of people at one time, but it was so fun working with you last time, Joe. Honestly, book it up because it will be awesome. For Your Spirit says peace and quiet just to work and get on with costumes. Amazing, love that. Helen says, I'm just finishing my temp job, so I need to get a new job, so that's top. Then continue to fund my craft business, a laser printer and foil machine planning each month. Awesome. And Helen's 3 words is positively much better. Love it. Awesome. So just to recap the goal questions, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years' time? What top 5 things would make the biggest impact on your life this year? How are you going to get there? How are you going to achieve those 5 things? What do you want from your life this year? Do these goals make you feel happy and excited? And if so, why? Make sure to be really descriptive. Looking at your goals for this year, what 3 words would you use to describe the next coming year? That's awesome. I love it. So Marta says, I'm moving out. I'm going to have my own separate office room. Hopefully peace inspires me. Awesome. Love it. So now that you've got your goals, you've dug deep, you know all of the good stuff, you know exactly what you want to do. Let's go into planning. Okay, so we've reflected, we've set goals. Now we're like, right, how are we going to get those goals? Okay, so plan your year ahead, all right? Grab a yearly planner, digital or on paper, and just plan. I find that printing off or buying those year to view calendars so helpful, because it's like, okay, I can see I have this many weeks, this many days in my year next year, this year. It's 2022. Let me say that again. So get a year to view calendar and you can look at that and say, I have this block of time. Like, that is all I have. You can easily see it. Whereas when you're using like a week to view, something like that, it's often quite hard to kind of flip back and forth. Okay. So I would love to, like, if you plan better online, look at the, you can go and get a online version. If you go onto Etsy, there's loads of planning resources on Etsy, but just grab something that makes it really easy for you to plan, whatever that is, right? So are there any goals, projects, appointments, time off, events that you'd like to mark down? Okay, so if you've got a holiday booked, write that down. Okay, I know it's like a year ahead, but write it down. Are there any projects that you want to do? It's time to get them out of your mind and make a date for them. If you're planning to buy a new printer, if you're planning to launch a new product line, it is no more floating around in your brain. I should really do that. I should really do this. No, write it down. Put a date to it. Even if it makes you go, do it. Write it down. Put a date to it, okay? Make time for them and schedule out for commitment. So make sure that if you've committed yourself to birthdays, weddings, hen parties, stag parties, whatever they are, make sure to block out time, because the last thing you want is to, make a plan for your year and then be like, oh, I'm gonna have to start moving stuff because I forgot and I've got this thing I need to do, right? So what you want to do is you also want to write either on the back or somewhere, create a work schedule or work hours. So kind of say to yourself, right, how many hours a day, a week, a month do I want to commit to achieving these goals? Write that down somewhere. So even if you want to sort of map out when the kids are off from school and plan your work around this, just make sure that you've got all of your personal commitments on the calendar somewhere, as well as your big work commitments as well. All right, so get all the big stuff down on that calendar first, right? Sarah says, good plan. Need a year to view one. I have a weekly one to plan content, etc., and do lists, but definitely a longer term, easy to see one will help. Yes. Honestly, I tried planning on Asana. I tried planning in my week to view diary. I tried it on Canva. I tried it everywhere. And I just think that when you're doing like a first draft overview of your 2022, just get a year to view. It does really, really help. Joe says people still have social lives. I know, right? No, they probably don't at this point. So write down any goals or unfinished to-do lists as well that you wanted to do last year but couldn't. So if there's anything floating around in your mind that you're thinking, oh, I did really want to do that last year, but I didn't really get round to it, or I was going to launch that new product, but I didn't get round to it, or I wanted to buy and experiment with this new thing that I was going to, make a new product with or try a new method, but I didn't get round to it. Write it down. Do like a major brain dump on a separate piece of paper, right? And look at them and say, do I still want to do these? All right. And then if there's any that you're like, not really, like I've kind of lost the mojo for it now, cross them off, get rid of them. If there's anything else left that you're like, yes, I do really want to do that, put that on your year to view calendar. So really the whole idea of this is to know when you're going to have low energy. So for example, if you've got kids and they're off school, you know that, okay, that week you're not going to plan a massive launch because you're not going to have the mental capacity and the energy to be able to do that thing, right? And the same with commitments and all that good stuff. You know that before you go on holiday, let's say, you're not going to want to launch or do something massive, but regardless, it's all about taking those big things out of your brain, getting rid of the ones that don't make any sense for you, getting them out of your mind, and actually starting to commit, put a date to the ones that you really want to do. And all of this is heavily based on, your goals, your reflection, your goals, where you want your life to look like in 5 years' time. Because there's absolutely no point writing a goal down that's not going to move the needle for you in any way, shape, or form, okay? Helen says, I have no idea. All my social life is still being rescheduled from the pandemic. Yeah, exactly. So for a lot of you, you're going to have like 5 weddings to go to this year. Write them all down, okay? Helen says, I wanted to do an advent calendar but didn't get round to it, but with planning better in advance, it's on the list. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? I have actually planned out when I'm planning 2023 in December. Like, I am that micro with it now that I know, looking from this, that from the 12th of December to the 23rd of December 2022, that is my 2-week time period to plan 2023. Okay, so even as far as that, all right? So are you guys feeling like a little bit more sort of, yeah, I'm going to be doing this? One thing with me, and when I started writing the book, which again, if you've just joined us, the book will be coming out spring. We're not going to announce a launch date yet, but it is coming in spring. It was something that I had to literally, that was the reason why I started to print off these planners. These not really planners, are they? They're like year to view calendars, I guess, because I was like, right, I have this big project that I know is going to take up 6 months of my time. I need to make sure to time block this. And it really, really helped me. So it does work if you have a big project. Like, let's say you want to do another Etsy shop, we want to relaunch one. By all means, just make sure to write everything down, because it will help you feel less overwhelmed as well. Like, let's say that you've got all these things in your head. You're like, I don't even know where to start. Just do like a 1, 2, 3 step, and then get your calendar and write the steps down, dated. So you're like, right, this is the time that I have to actually do this. Miriam said, feeling overwhelmed. Okay, then exactly, then write it down, write it all down. And that is why I always have one of these notebooks. Like, I always have this wherever I go. It's handbag size. I always have this, because I just know that when I write things down on the notes on my phone, I never look at them. If I write it down in here, I always look at them. Miriam says, need to relaunch my shop. Okay, perfect. We actually have a free resource for you. And Sophie, would you mind popping the link to that? It's the 30 days to a kick butt Etsy shop launch plan, completely free. It's going to help you so, so much. Sophie will pop the link down there somewhere as well, so you can grab that. So we've got one more little thing that we're going to do before we go. So this is a big, big day today. Week 1 is always the biggest week, but I really, really want you to do this. Dream boards. How many of you have a dream board of some sort? Whether it's a phone wallpaper, a screensaver desktop thing, a picture on Instagram. How many of you have dream boards? This, so if you're watching on Instagram, it's here behind me. If you're watching on Facebook, it is there behind me. I have always, for the last 7-8 years, I've always had a dream board. And I kid you not, like 80% of the things on my dream board end up coming true. Whether it takes me 6 months or 6 years, it always ends up coming true. And the reason for that is because you're seeing it every single day. So you're kind of like recalibrating your brain whenever you look at that dream board to, okay, this is what I want in life. How can I achieve it, right? So whether you want a large piece of paper, you want to like physically cut things out and stick it, whether you want to use Pinterest or Canva or whatever you want to use, your number one priority, as well as answering all of those good questions, is to create a dream board. Now, you could do like a dream board for the next year, the next 5 years, whatever it is. Craft a life that you love with pictures, so you can physically see. Because again, like a lot of us, if you're here, you are going to be creative, and if you're going to be creative, you will probably learn best by looking at pictures, which says to me that the best way for you to see your goals and kind of calibrate yourself to do more stuff to get you toward those goals is to have a dream board. So 100% put it on your office wall, like mine is behind me. Pop it on your desktop screensaver, your phone screensaver, just a place where you can see it often, right? Miriam says, I have a dream board. Amazing. So Joe says, 90% of plans involve me waking up tomorrow with a sudden sense of discipline and an adherence to a routine I never once shown in my life. But by the end of the year, I want to have foiled planner stickers, all amazing, in my shop. So laser printer, foil machine will be needed. We'll need to fit that somewhere else in my house as my office area, and in the living room is chock-a-block. Also want to get a sublimation printer to be able to make better mugs and possibly open a second shop for them. Amazing. Also need a third cutting machine for the stickers. Can't keep up. That is amazing. I love that. Marta has an inspiration board. Awesome. Joe, you say you have a dream board, but it's somewhere in a box that I haven't unpacked after moving. Get that out there. Get that hung up on the wall. Honestly, Joe, like, it is going to help you. Helen, this is exactly what I want to get. Need to stop looking at pretty things. It gets me wanting to make them too. Yes. Samantha Jane Embroidery says, I made one for the first time this year. Awesome. Sophie says, I have mine set as my computer desktop image so I see it daily. Yes. You'd be surprised, boss. I can explain why it works, but I'm not going to, because this live will be ages long. but it honestly does work. I have a basket. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, it's here. On Instagram, you can't really see it. It's out of shot. I have a basket where I take all of the pictures of the things that I've achieved and I put them in that basket. And every so often when I'm feeling a little bit down, or I'm like, oh, I haven't really moved the needle that much, or this month it hasn't been a great month, I go into that basket and I look at all the things that I have achieved. I never throw any pictures of things that I've achieved away, because why would I, you know? It's like a big tick, right? So, bosses, I hope that you have, we've been going for 45 minutes, a little bit longer, but I really hope that you have enjoyed this live. And if you're sat there saying, whew, I have some big goals for my business in 2022, then I have some free resources for you. If you're watching it on Instagram, you can get my 30 days to a kick butt Etsy shop planner in the link in bio. And if you also want to join my free 90-minute masterclass, a 3-step framework to skyrocket your Etsy conversion rate, the link will be around the video. If not, it will be in the link in bio if you're watching on Instagram. But guys, I really hope that you have enjoyed this. Please do not forget to join me next week, same day, same time. And that's Monday the 17th. We are going to be doing week 2. So if you thought this week was valuable, boss, you need to join me for week 2, because that is going to be freaking epic. So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this live. We are going to rock 2022's face off. All right. We are absolutely going to rock its face off, and I will catch up with you all soon. Bye, bosses. Bye, everyone. Bye, Facebook. Have a fab week.